Welcome to AI versus the World, where we discuss all things AI. My name's Iowa.
My name's Z. And my name is Heather.
Today's episode, Good or Evil. I think we should open with talking about what we mean when we say AI, because AI can be a lot of things.
When we talk about AI for this podcast, we are talking more so about generative AI and how people try and make things from it.
Mm-hmm. So that's your things like ChatGPT, Sora, that generate text or video or images for you, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the point of today's episode, mostly just discussing our thoughts, our opinions, and if we really think that AI is an overall net good or net negative for the world. So I think that we should go into our thoughts and our opinions.
Well, first, let's say, why is it important to discuss this right now?
You're so right. Yeah.
Because when we think of AI, we think of, all the things and the ways it can impact the world. And dwelling in today's episode, we're going to talk about how it more so affects us.
Right. Yeah. Because, AI's just exploded in use in the past year.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. I know you've used it before for some work.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. I avoid it like it's the plague, but that's because I have very strong opinions.
Same. I also know kids in class who use it to write essays and stuff. It's horrible.
Well, I feel this is a good segue. So how about we go around, say one good thing we think that AI does and one bad thing.
Ooh, that's tricky.
It's okay. Heather, do you want to start?
Yeah. So I find AI very useful for essays and stuff to let's just say, how are we gonna correct my essay?
Mm-hmm. Gives you thoughts and ideas.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. What's one negative thing?
One negative thing, I guess, is the environment and how it affects it. One good thing I would say for me, kind of like what Heather was talking about, is I mentioned essays, and don't get me wrong, I think I've probably used ChatGPT to look up some key points for my works and to help figure out how to write an essay. I don't think I've ever used it to generate an essay, but I do think that could have been a good help for me for my grades.
Mm-hmm.
And one bad thing out of all the things I think is it can take a lot of jobs away from creative people, especially the images.
Yeah.
And it can hurt jobs in the future.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree. The number one good thing, and this was just a headline that I saw recently. I have not, I know it to be true, but I do not know the extent to which, but I know that AI has helped find cures to cancers in dogs recently, which I think is awesome. I think that dogs should never have to go through cancer. However, I do think that generative AI is a plague on individual thinking. And I believe that it's made more people very independent on not making their own opinions, but rather depending on everyone else to come up with an opinion for them so that they don't have to think critically. And I think that that's bad, because the amount of people I've seen on the internet who are just incapable of comprehending anything, just even my peers in class, incapable of comprehension without someone telling them how to feel about it, is astounding and a little terrifying to me.
Now, on the topic of us all talking about the good things and bad things, I want to discuss what do we agree on, what do we disagree on? Because on you talking about how the good thing for you was it was helping cure cancer in dogs, you said?
Yes.
Now, when I think of AI, it usually takes information from other sources. So what if it took information from somebody who had that resource and everybody's just saying AI did it?
What do you mean by that?
So say a scientist had that information and it's saying AI cured cancer. How do they know specifically AI did it?
I think the point of the headline is that it was AI assisted. It was still primarily the scientists doing it.
Oh.
I still don't think that AI had a primary part in that at all. I need you to understand that I think AI is of the devil, just like Snapchat.
Oh, yeah.
And I say that hyperbolically, but it's very much the kind of AI that they would have used would have been, let's take all the data, extrapolate it, put it into use, see what happens. And it just happened to help cure and treat cancer for dogs. And I think that was a nice little positive story that I saw recently. I don't know how it works. I didn't look into it at the time because I didn't really have a lot of time, but I might come back to it next episode with more research. Obviously, we talked about that. Was there anything that any of us said that we like strongly disagree with?
Not necessarily. Like, I know I keep going back to the topic of essays and schoolwork, but I have a really strong opinion about like AI being used for schoolwork because when I see teachers, especially at my school, there's a few good teachers, there's a few bad ones. And there was a point in time where we have some really smart students at my really small school. And they use a lot of big words sometimes that they have learned over the years in their essays. And when the teachers went to grade their work, the teachers automatically thought it was AI that did their
they
work.
knew their sight words.
Because
frowny face.
They were like, oh, these are big words high schoolers don't use. And they didn't even like check an AI generator or anything. And they just gave the students Fs.
I never want to get dinged for using flux and noxenhilipilification. That's a real word, by the way.
But like, I know in my essays, like, again, I don't like to use AI to write essays. I think that's a horrible thing to do overall because that's just being lazy and not taking accountability for your work. But like I said, I used it to help generate like key points. And then I was like, oh, okay, here's what I need to focus on. This is what I'm going to be putting in my essay. And I know some of the ways that like the English teachers I've had have like pointed it out is by like semicolons. They say students never use semicolons.
I like semicolons.
And that's another way he like tries to find it.
The real big sign that I heard of was M dashes, and that is because here's the thing. Here's some lore for you guys. When it comes to M dashes, how a lot of generative writing AI got a lot of its information is by scraping fanfiction websites. And if there's one thing that fanfic writers love more, it is the M dash. I fear. Do not let anyone read into what this means for me, please God. But it did a lot of scraping of fan fiction, which is why that is. So now it makes people who are like, wait, no, but I genuinely use the M dash and I like using semicolons. I use semicolons pretty often, actually, because they're fairly useful. I don't want to get dinged for that.
Yeah. See, and one thing I think is super funny is, again, my English teacher specifically, he like doesn't like the fact that students use AI in their work because he has like literally seen them over the shoulder using ChatGPT as they were working, and he just doesn't say anything.
That's wild.
He knows he's gonna just grade them poorly anyway, and he knows they're not gonna fix it even if he tells them to.
Right.
But what's funny is he contradicts himself because every time we walk into class, he has a new AI image on the board. He will generate AI images to make us laugh when we come into the classroom, and so it started to encourage students
to be okay with that,
to generate images in their slideshows, and he's okay with it.
Interesting. I know, Heather, you like to use AI in some of your work. Do you have like a hard line?
Maybe to generate images. I often do not generate images. However, like if I want to, I'll generate images.
But like you use it to generate ideas, but I take it that you wouldn't an entire essay.
No, like I would ask for its opinion on the essay.
Yeah.
Like, should I improve my thesis? Should I improve my overall analysis of the essay?
Yeah. I personally, I'm extremely strongly opposed to the use of AI at all, especially in any creative process. I don't really judge other people for doing it, but like I am like so strongly opposed to it because the point of creativity is that you're teaching yourself how to do these things, and the more and more people that rely on just like ones and zeros in a box telling them what they think creativity should be horrifies me as an artist. But I'm one to have very strong feelings.
See, and I'm kind of the same way. I'm not horrifically opposed. Like I said, I've used it to help with key points.
I haven't touched
assignments.
any of it once. I'm going to be so for real with y'all. Haven't touched any of it once. I'm almost certain that if I do, I'm going to get cursed and sent to hell.
I am horrifically opposed, though, to kind of what you touched on, like, and what I touched on, the generative images. When I started seeing that and I started seeing my teacher doing that, I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I was like, please stop. And like, even some of the students like in the class who are like artists, she was like, these are really funny, but like, you know, it's kind of bad to use this. And he goes, okay. And then found a different AI website to make them on.
That's
and
wild.
The whole class was like, that's still bad. That's still bad. And he goes, well, it's on a different website. And we're like, no. And we just had a slideshow project recently where every student, and I'm not kidding you, every student but my group used an AI image in their slideshow.
Yuck.
Because he was encouraging them to. And I hated it because now all these students are getting encouraged to do this, as to where like some of the students decided to like draw their project. And I was like, I like that way more than the slideshows because it was human drawn. It was something authentic, not stolen from other pieces of artwork.
Which leads to the question, this is kind of a hypothetical I'm posing because your teacher's very strongly opposed to AI in writing, but not in art. You're very strongly opposed to AI in art, but not necessarily in writing. And I always think that's an interesting dichotomy between different kinds of artists, where it is absolutely sacrilegious if it's to their art, but other forms of art are not high enough for it. It's okay to disrespect other forms of art in that way. And I find that really interesting.
See, and like, I don't try to disrespect like the art of writing. It's honestly, I go to Google more times than I go to AI for like key points in an essay because I mean, who hasn't looked up something to help them with an essay?
I was going to say I love Google, but no, I actually hate Google. I love Firefox and DuckDuckGo.
But that's what I normally go to. But if there's any time where I'm like going through Google and I'm going through Google sources and it's not giving me what I'm looking for, that's when I end up going to AI. And I don't like it necessarily. And I don't think it's right. Like, I hate myself when I do it, but it's a matter of like, I'm thinking of my grade, what's going to help me with my grade. Unfortunately, this is what I go to.
Oh, that brings up an interesting aspect. I wonder how many students are using AI because they're worried about failing their classes. Is that a pressure that you guys feel, that if you don't, you're worried that you're going to fail, like you need the assistance in some way if things aren't necessarily going right?
Yeah, if you're saying when things don't necessarily go right, then yes, I do feel like if I can't find what I'm looking for, like I said, in other sources, then yes, I do sometimes go to AI to be like, hey, I'm, struggling. Like, what's this key point that I'm looking for in this assignment? And if it gives me that key point, then I can go based on said key point for my assignment.
See, Heather, what about you?
I would say yes and no for that because I've gotten A's and B's my entire life. However, I think using AI has helped me a lot.
When the pressure's on and you're like, I can't.
Yeah. That's
really interesting to me because the thing is, when I'm reaching a dead end in my research, I go, okay, there's no more there. And I move on to something else instead, because I'm a very strong proponent of AI is not a being. It is incapable of thinking. It is a computer that is hallucinating. So I don't trust anything that it says. It happens to say truths, but, not necessarily the truth. You know what I mean? I think... So we've kind of gone over our pros and cons a little bit, right? What we think it's done good for the world, what we think it's done bad for the world. I think it might be fair to go into our discussion of, do we think AI is a net negative or a net positive?
Like, overall,
all of generative AI, do you think it has done more good or more hurt?
I think if we're going to like take a vote here, I would say it's more negative because even though like students like I could use it for help or just to cheat, it's that's cheating. That's
Mm-hmm.
not being a human. That's having their own authentic thoughts, and it's stealing things. So I see it as a negative.
Mm-hmm. Heather?
I also see it as a more negative. Well, first of all, it's hurting our environment. And second of all, it's plagiarism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because listeners, if you're not entirely sure how AI works, what it does is that it scrapes data from across the internet and basically takes the greatest average of what certain terms mean and what is the most correct looking way for it to come out. Like a very early version of generative AI is like the word correction thing on your phone that suggests words to you. That's ChatGPT is just like the roided up older brother of that, right? Which is why I'm so distrustful of it. I find AI to also be a generally horrific net negative. Obviously, there's some dangers to the environment. It's honestly, because I've looked into it, it's not as bad as what everyone says it is. It's about as bad as every big company. So not good, but not as horrific either as some people are imagining. But it also discourages critical thinking. And we're already at such a point in the world where everyone's on tablets and phones, not even computers, because computers require you to critical think about how to use them and understand how they work. But everyone's just using apps. And we were already at a point where critical thinking was kind of going to an all-time low. And it's stiffed even further now that there's a computer to think for you. And I don't like that.
So overall, for us here,
for us three, I think we can all agree that AI, not good.
Yeah, we all
We're
think
not
of it
personal fans.
as a negative.
Mm-hmm.
And
not that it hasn't done good things. We've discussed that already. But, obviously, that's just our opinion.
Listeners at home, if you ever use AI or you find AI to be helpful, don't take this as we're targeting or...
Please don't feel attacked. We're just discussing our thoughts.
Yeah.
Once again, these are our opinions. Maybe you should think about what your opinions are. How do you feel?
Yeah. Do you think AI is a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing?
What are ways that you think are responsible ways to engage with it? What's that line for you, right? I encourage you to think about your opinions and come back next time to hear more of our thoughts on more specific kinds of AI and things that are happening in the world around AI. See you next time.
See ya.
See ya.